want to tell you a little bit about our speaker tonight. He traveled a very long way to come up here during rush hour traffic, and I really appreciate him coming up here. His name is Richard Rothschild, and he's a Carroll County Commissioner who was elected in 2010. He's been in the real estate business for nearly 2 decades and was driven into the county commissioner race in Carroll County after the county adopted a comprehensive zoning plan that was based on sustainable development as envisioned by ICLEI, the local arm of UN Agenda 21. There's been a lot, if you do any research online and you type in Agenda 21 or ICLEI, you'll be bound to find his name because he's talked substantially on it. He's very well versed in this topic, which is why we asked him to come here tonight. And he was very concerned about that, and that's helped him get into the race. He was also concerned about government spending and also retaining the rural character of Carroll County, which is, of course, very important to us in Cecil County as well. Our counties have a lot in common. When he and his fellow commissioners came into office, they were the first governmental body to actually abolish ICLEI in their county. And ICLEI in alternative news sources, it made the headlines, of course, in biggovernment.com, in Red State, you'll see it written about in there. And since then, other places have followed suit. And what I've noticed is it's something that I've just become familiar with recently, and I think, where have I been for the last 20 years when this was being planned? But now I'm starting to understand it, and I'm so glad he's here tonight to explain it to us so that we can get more information on this important topic and to share his knowledge with us. And with that, I'd like to present to you Commissioner Richard Rothschild, and please give him a warm welcome.
Good evening. Good evening. If I look harried and exhausted, it's because I'm harried and exhausted. It took me about 2.5 hours to get here in rush hour traffic. And as you can see, I've been frantically trying to get ready, so I feel like I haven't had a chance to even catch my breath. But let me start by thanking you all for having me here. I've been getting speaking invitations from all over the country over the last 3 or 4 months, and I told my wife, I said, you know, I'm 55 years old, and for 54 years of my life, all I did was behave like a big conservative, which means minding my own business, paying my taxes, and obeying the law. And now I find myself at the forefront of national politics, and it's kind of a culture clash. And of course, being at the forefront of this fight, I also find myself under very heavy attack from the Democrats. Very heavy attack. I will tell all you in advance that they're doing to me what they did to Sarah Palin. They're hitting me every week with something. I think I spend about a third of my time now in lawyers' offices trying to fight my opponents who are trying to silence me at this point in time. But we don't worry about that. There's a saying they had it during World War II, and you can tell you're over the target when you start getting incoming flak. So I look at it as a badge of courage. It encourages me. It tells me that the salvos that I'm firing are hitting the target, and it encourages me to just carry on, and I'll continue to do what I'm doing. Before I get started, county commissioners here, Diane, Terry, and Rob. Hey, good to have you folks here. I'm honored that you're here. Thank you so much. And you picked a good one because I'm going to do 2 presentations tonight. Do you have any water in here?
We're getting you a drink.
Excuse me, I'm just rushing. I'm going to share you picked a good time to have me in because tomorrow I will be meeting with Roscoe Bartlett, Congressman Roscoe Bartlett, and Congressman Steve King from Iowa. And I'm going to skip some of my first slide presentation. Sorry. I'm going to go through my initial presentation, my standard presentation, quick, so I can show you what I'm going to show 2 of our congressmen tomorrow. And I can tell you, I've been involved with this for about a year now. I told somebody earlier that in the last 2 weeks, I feel like I know 30% more than I did 2 weeks prior as the stuff unfolds. And I told my wife that I feel like an actor from a bad grade B science fiction movie. You know what I mean? Because I know this is happening, and I've been blessed or cursed by God to be able to see all the pieces of this. There's maybe a few dozen of us in the country who have been given this clairvoyant ability to see all the pieces, and I'm going to try to put those pieces together for you tonight. But it's like, it reminds me of these bad science fiction movies where aliens have come to the planet and they've infected people. And you know that the aliens are in your town and your community, but you try to explain it to your local police department or official, they go, oh, you're crazy. This is exactly the same thing. And it leads me to I'll be talking about the fact that Agenda 21 and its Marxist doctrine spreads like an infection. It's like getting cut and you get tetanus and you don't know that you're infected. See what I'm saying? And there's reasons for that. I'm going to show you. And I tell you, I took hundreds of slides and tried to parse it down to about 25 or so for our two congressmen that are going to see this tomorrow. And I'll show you what they're going to see again in a few minutes. But first I'm going to start off on a light note and try to have a little bit of fun. I want to say a couple comments to our commissioners that are here. This is not something you just breach with people that haven't heard before and think they're going to go, thank you so much for explaining to you. They're going to think you're crazy. And I tell people all over the country, first time you go into to start battling over this, you better not even talk about Agenda 21. You better express this as a property rights issue and a social engineering issue. The reason I say to take it as a property rights and social engineering issue is usually you can produce documentation either from the planning department or from a comprehensive municipal plan or master plan, which will prove that your concerns about social engineering and property rights are valid. Because this is an all-out attack on property rights, and I got a great gift today that I incorporated in the slideshow I'm going to show you. I just added it today, which really is kind of game, set, match. It proves it proves that we have a valid reason to be concerned that our constitutional vision of property rights, life, liberty, and property, in the Fifth Amendment, property should not be taken except for public uses with due process and just compensation. We finally have evidence now from an expert who has gone on record saying there is an incompatibility between constitutional property rights and the sustainability agenda in the United States today. Okay, let's get into this thing. How much time do we have, Jackie, before
we have until 9, right?
Yeah. All right, well, I'll try to do this quickly and I'll go fast. Now, this screen is pretty small. Some of you want to move closer so you can see the screen before we get started. You want to pull chairs up this way? Because there's some pretty funny stuff up here. I always believe that a picture's worth 1,000 words. And I'm a real interactive, casual guy. If you want to ask me a question, I'll try to answer it. If I think it's going to delay us too long, I'll ask them to put it off to the end so I can get through this. And Terry, did we meet at makeup? I was the crazy one there, arguing with the mayor. I remember you. I was the crazy one.
You only nice things.
I'm only half as crazy as you thought I was then because I'm getting calls from other commissioners across the country now too. I talked to the Albemarle County Board of Supervisors, several of them, 2 days before they withdrew from the ICLI.
Why the recent interest?
I think we're reaching critical mass. Why the interest? I think we're reaching critical mass. For the last 9 months, the Saul-Alinsky politics of the left have been to dismiss us as crazy. You know, what's the saying Mahatma Gandhi said? First they laugh at you, then they ignore you, then they fight you, and then you win. I think we're in the fighting stage now. They've laughed, they've ignored, and now we're fighting. And we've got enough smoking guns on our side. And one of the things I have in my presentation, the congressman is still not convinced. Let me show you more. Still not convinced. Let me show you more. This either has to be true, or it's the greatest coincidence in the history of mankind. Okay, and that's all right. So let's get into this. Can everybody see the slides right now? Am I blocking you too badly? I am blocking you. Can I ask you to scoot? I don't know where else to go. I haven't got to reach this computer. All right. Okay, so here's how I like to start. I'd like to start at the very beginning. Why is our country in so much trouble today? Well, there's a lot of reasons, but since I try to target this officials or people running for office, I like to start with the oath of office. I'll support the Constitution of the United States and will be faithful and bear true allegiance. One of the problems in this country, we have too many people in both political parties that are taking the oath and then forgetting about it. That's right. And we have to sometimes pinch ourselves and remind ourselves about it. And I want to ask our officials, you ever thought about what this means? When you took the oath, did you mean it? Are you prepared to speak, act, and defend? Because I can tell you, it's real easy to say you're going to speak, act, and defend. I can tell you, I'm taking arrows. The conservatives at the cutting edge are at the bleeding edge. We're taking arrows and we're getting beat up. But we're getting beat up because we're hitting the progressive left agenda where it hurts. We're producing the facts and the documentation to unveil what they really are. The crux of the battle that we're dealing with here, that we have to be prepared to discuss with elected officials, is unalienable rights. We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal and that they are endowed by their Creator, not by government, but by God, with certain unalienable rights, including life, liberty, and pursuit of happiness. The Declaration says pursuit of happiness. The Fifth Amendment says life, liberty, and property. And that property shall not be taken except with due process and just compensation. Nor shall any state deprive any person of life, liberty, or property without due process. The 14th Amendment. Okay, let's have some fun. This is a really serious topic, so I'd like to try to spit it off with some fun. And I like to use analogy. Price was very good for using parables, so I tried to compare the sustainability agenda with something funny, because it shows the absurdity of it and what we're really up against. And as I go through this little sample here, you'll see there'll be parallels. If you don't catch one of the parallels, let me know. How many of you know what Agenda 21 is, by the way, before I start? Okay, so most of you do. If you have a question, say, Richard, what does that have to do with Agenda 21? I'll explain the parallelism that exists. What if you wanted to eliminate candy manufacturers from the world? What if you wanted to eliminate capitalism from the world? How would you do it? Would it be easier to ban candy, or would it be easier to promote healthy teeth? Would it be easy to ban property rights and ban capitalism, or promote a healthy environment? See where I'm going with this? Okay. And if we're going to promote healthy teeth, should we expand it? Why don't we also promote general health and avoidance of diabetes, right? And what do we do? Well, we get a non-government organization on our side. Let's give the American Dental Association $1 million so they'll support our agenda. Let's give the American Planning Association $1 million to prepare ordinances that implement our agenda. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We create a health sustainability coordinator that belongs to a UN organization that promotes the benefits of a candy-free society. We would require schools to teach the evils of candy. We would explain how candy consumption consumes too much of the world's sugarcane supplies. We would publish selected articles proving candy is harmful to your health. We'd endorse organizations that promote healthy eating, offer smart, sugar-free growing awards. We pass resolutions that state in the absence of positive proof, we should err on the side of caution and avoid candy. Can you tell me what this parallels with?
Global warming.
Global warming, and specifically the Rio Accords, UNRSM Rio Accords, number 15, the precautionary principle, which states from the United Nations, in the absence of proof positive, you should take actions to protect the environment anyway, even if you have no scientific proof. Which is exactly the premise that we're working from in this country right now. We get non-candy companies to sell alternatives. How? Well, it's easy. We just offer them money, green grants, the companies that manufacture healthy desserts, or windmills. We offer grants to schools, communities, and businesses that provide healthy desserts and little candy. No fast food. We promote technology that monitors sugar intake. We require fund transfers to poor countries to wean them from sugar-based foods. See the parallels?
Yes.
I see Terry nodding her head. That's a good sign. We would create a government dietary commission and we'd staff it with anti-sugar political appointees. Right? Isn't that what we have? We would require all members of the dietary commission to be trained in proper diets. I'm a member of planning center. I have to be trained in smart food so that I can be properly eco-socialized. How would Al Gore and Michael Moore do it? Let's have some fun. Well, we produce a movie about corruption versus chocolate, and we call it Candy Admit. We produce a movie denigrating the system of capitalism and enables us to have chocolate in every household. How capitalism and how greed is killing America. Right? Isn't that what they're doing?
Yeah.
Can you see the parallels? This is my favorite. We produce a movie on the evils of cavities, an inconvenient tooth. It's funny, but this is exactly what they've done. Every step of the way, there was a green sustainability parallelism that they have done here. They're brilliant. How would you do it? Well, you also create false moral equivalencies. If you don't support the banning of candy, you must be cold, callous, and really have something in it against children, right? You just don't care. You don't care about the world. And we blame the poor health of children worldwide on wasteful capitalism and sugar consumption of wealthy nations. And then finally, you declare the debate is over, sugar's evil, global warming is real, sugar must go. Haven't we done that with global warming? And I want you to know, I spent a day and a half at the Hartman Institute's Global Warming Summit last week in Washington, D.C. I listened to scientists from all over the world, from China to Australia to Austria to the UK to Canada. And here's what they said. If I had to summarize it in one sentence, global warming is the biggest marketing scam ever perpetrated on mankind. Yeah. At least a component of it that says that it's man-made. We've been going through cycles like this for centuries. And when you start to look at what the IPCC did, they took little sections of that graph, then you look to the left, you look to the right, and you see what they didn't show you. You realize they simply picked convenient points in the sine wave and said this proves that there's warming. And every scientist up there basically said this is absurd. Now, I want to make something clear. If you're going to discuss sustainability, you've got a problem. And this is especially, I'm commenting towards our commissioners here. You can't walk into a group of citizens and say, I'm against sustainability. You're going to have Republicans in there that say, wait a minute, I'm a good Republican. I'm for sustainability. The problem is, there's two definitions in the world today, and you're going to talk past each other. When the average citizen says he or she is for sustainability, they're talking about sustainability in the dictionary sense with a small s, to make something last a long time. And you're going to offend them. The problem is, and they're going to say, well, that's not what it means. It means to me, solar cells and windmills and being good custodians of our farmland. And my response is, it doesn't matter what you think it means. What you need to understand is you need to understand what it means to government, especially international government, federal government, state planning departments, and many local planning departments, because they're implementing sustainability with a capital S, which is a socio-economic political movement. And guess where it comes from? It comes from the United Nations. And you should know that it comes out of the Department of Social and Economic Affairs at the United Nations. Social and Economic Affairs. Remember that. If this is about the environment, why is it coming out of the Department of Social and Economic Affairs at the UN? That's a fact. Talk about that. We talk about this. This was adopted by President Clinton in 1993 by executive order. There was never any vote by Congress. It's been promulgated to the international communities for International Council for Local Environmental Initiatives nationwide.
Didn't Clinton also institute a Council for Environmental Quality, I believe it was called back then, out of this?
He did a lot of things that I can't say specifically. I mean, every time somebody asks me a question, I research and find out, yes, so probably, but I don't know that for sure. He did a lot of things. There are books and books. I have books in my office, which is the President's Council of Sustainability, on the environment, on education, on population and demographics, separate books. It was all basically UN Agenda 21 packaged in American books, produced by the Office of the President. Well, it came out in 1992 or 3, so no, post-2000 was education, I think, wasn't it? Yeah. So I say sustainability is pretty from afar, but it's far from pretty. And same with smart growth, which is the domestic packaging of sustainability. And I tell people, the left is brilliant at using good marketing. See, the Democrats are crooked, Republicans are stupid, right? And I use an analogy. I said, because you're against smart growth doesn't mean that you're for stupid growth. Smart growth is kind of like smart food. You got all kinds of foods that are prefix of smart healthy dinners, smart popcorn. When you look at the ingredients in the package, you see there's a lot of ingredients that aren't healthy in the package. There are some things that are good, and it's not black or white. There are some things about smart growth I heavily agree with. But there are just as many components of smart growth which I heavily disagree with also. So how did they get this doctrine throughout the United States? It's been going on for 18, 19 years. How did they do it? Well, as a very good answer to this, they tricked us. That's right, they tricked us. Here's how they tricked us. This is Jay Garrett.